compliant to the bid and one that was submitted late and not in compliance. The town board needs to decide how they would like to proceed. We can send it out to bid again to get 3 more bids or work with the 2 that are in compliance. My problem with sending it out to bid again is now that the actual amounts that were bid are out there, so
Sure.
it's easily underbid at this
Yeah.
point. So I don't think it would be fair to those that were in compliance and bid on time and had all their paperwork in. So my feeling is to choose between the lowest bid that was presented. But if we go ahead with the lowest bid, I believe it's Clove Excavators. And I think everyone got emailed all the bids and everything.
Yes.
We don't have to do that now. If we do it now, I can contact them. Maybe they can do it by the end of the year. That's up to the board at this point.
I would like to make a motion, we,
Well, I'd prefer that we rebid this in the spring. I don't think it's a good idea to try and put this in this season. It's only a few more weeks that the blacktop plants are open. We're into cold weather. Blacktop and cold weather don't mix well. And I think we'd get a much better job if we waited till weather conditions are better to do this.
If we accept these bids, it may not be done until spring, but these bids will stand.
Well, we
And again, I just feel bad for those who got their bids in on time, and now other people can underbid them because they see the amount on the bid.
Yeah, it's
So
out in the
I
public
just don't
domain.
think it's fair that we go and rebid this now that everything's out to the public.
yeah, because they have an unfair advantage.
Right.
We're talking about a savings of $20,000 to the town.
Well, you think we're gonna get bid that much less?
Well, that's what the next lower bid was. About in the area of $20,000, wasn't it?
$55.49.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next,
16,000.
I mean, the,
16,000.
55 and
Difference.
49 is
Yeah.
6,000.
yeah,
Thank you.
$6,000.
Oh, I thought he said 39.
$49.
Oh, okay, so $6,000.
And 55.
So where's the 20 grand?
No, I've made mistaken calculations then, but still, I mean, $6,000 is nothing to sneeze at.
I'm just looking at it as, it just wouldn't be fair because, again, the bid prices are out there, and now anyone can come and underbid him by $1. Even though he was in compliant, he got it in the specific time, he had all his paperwork on time,
Yeah.
and that's what we requested, and
The other
We got it.
possibility is crude oil could shoot up and we'd be paying a lot more for blacktop in
Exactly.
2018 than we are this year.
yes.
Right. And since the highest bid we got was $87,000, I think we hedge our bets on the $55,000 and go for that, because that is a huge savings. I mean, that's ridiculously different, it's $30,000.
In addition to that, I'll go back a few years when we were having work done on the building itself, around the bottoms and the corner posts. And we put it out for bid, and one gentleman came back with a bid, but he said he wasn't going to use the aluminum, he was going to use something else because the aluminum would just all get crumpled up again as soon as they were cutting grass.
Right.
And we decided to rebid it, so somebody rebid it for $100 less than he did. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going with the lowest bid, I mean, originally, I would say that they should have gone with the other guy, but, because he was the one that came up with the idea that it's gonna last longer.
Yeah, you had the right idea.
He had the right idea. And we rebid it, or you rebid it, I wasn't on the board at the time.
Yeah,
And somebody came in with $100 less,
right, got the job.
and, you know,
Somebody could come in with 50 cents less and get the job.
Not necessarily, we aren't required to accept the lowest bid. And one would expect the bid to be lower than the lowest bid that's been revealed. Not necessarily lower than Clove Excavators, but lower than, what is it, Sal and Sons or something? You would expect the bids to come in lower than that.
Sal and Son should have never been opened.
Yeah. I mean, it was already late.
It didn't come in until 4 o'clock that afternoon. They were supposed to be in by 3 o'clock, and they did not have their proper paperwork in order. So we cannot give it to them. So I don't feel we should hurt the people that got the bids in and put it out again. It's up to the board.
And isn't it true this is money coming from the state?
Yes,
So whatever we pay, the state is paying us back.
most of it, yes.
Still coming from our pockets regardless. That's tax money. State
Okay, I hope
gives
you
away
remember
tax
you
money.
said that.
Excuse me?
I said, remember you said that.
I think we can still contact them back and say we, want to be first on their list in the spring
Right.
when it's a better time to pave.
Again, they may be able to do it next week. I don't know. But
We have any heat waves? I don't know.
they could have done it today.
Right, it was over 50.
Today was a
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah,
day.
it was one.
It rained today.
Early, but
That little bit of rain isn't going to hurt blacktop.
Okay.
I mean, we may get a 60-degree day where they
It's not
decide to
unusual.
do it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, it's not unusual at all.
True.
I just don't think it's fair to go back and rebid when these people were in compliance and others weren't. So now we're going to say, oh, we'd rather have that other guy, so let's give him another chance.
Right. In all fairness, we
It's not
received
ethical.
3 bids. We received 3 bids.
I don't think it's about who the contractor
One.
is. I think it's about the cost that we're paying.
I think it's about the way we did it. We put it out to bid. The bids had to be in by 3 PM on the 13th. We had 2 bids by 3 PM on the 13th. The one that came in later should have never been opened, and it would have been illegal for us to give that.
right, so we only
Yeah.
got 2 qualified bids.
We have 2 qualified bids, and to shun them because they were on time, but the next guy may have not found out to bid lower.
Well, I think they bid in good faith, and in good faith, we should make a decision on which bid
I agree.
and go ahead with it. If the
Go
weather
ahead with it.
goes against us, it goes against us, but
Right.
they should know not to pave if it's not suitable
Right.
conditions.
So,
In discussing it with Lisa from the comptroller's office, who was here, she said legitimately, we got 3 bids, but one we absolutely cannot accept. So it's not that we violated procurement policy, or we certainly had it open, but they didn't get it in on time, and they don't have liability insurance that to present to us, which was part of the bid requirement. So we did receive 3. 1 is automatically withdrawn, and we have 2 to work with. I say we work with those 2, because I think it's not fair to make them all
John,
start
did you
from
make a
scratch.
motion?
Because
Yeah,
somebody
John made a
else.
motion.
Yeah, that we go ahead as we plan and
with the lower
take
bid.
the lower.
I have one more point to
I'll
make.
second it.
Okay.
One more point to make. No blacktop company in their right mind is going to stand by a price into the spring if the the cost of asphalt changes. I'm sure that that's written into the contract, that the price is subject to change according to the price of asphalt, because it is such a fluctuating market.
Does it say on their bid how long the price is valid for?
I'm looking. I know this one was very long.
I still maintain that we would get a better job under better weather conditions than what we face in front of us. I was in the blacktop industry for 2 years with Clove excavators. I know a little bit about asphalt paving.
It doesn't matter. If he can't, if it can't be done this year, he has to stand by his bid.
I would be very surprised to find out that there's not a clause in there that says the asphalt, cost of asphalt is subject to change.
It doesn't say.
Because it is, it's on the market, so the cost of asphalt fluctuates daily. And if it's a significant change, they're not gonna put it down for the cost that they gave us. That's the way the industry works.
And that's the chance we have to take. They gave us this bid, and this is what we go by, and that's what we pay them for the job. I will clarify with that with,
I didn't see anything in their bid that,
There's no
there's
expiration
any,
or change.
no expiration date.
however, if they couldn't pave this year and they had to go into next year and the market went crazy and they couldn't perform under their contract, obviously, then if they don't follow through, the town board would have to rebid it. But
Right.
Right.
There's nothing in the contract that I saw when I reviewed it that allowed the contractor, the bidder, to then come in
And raise the
this
price.
year and say we want X. But there are vendors over the years that have done contracts with municipalities who haven't been able to perform.
And if they can't perform, then you
The town
rebid.
will have to reject it and
Right.
rebid it.
Face reality.
And in all fairness, if that was true, if asphalt prices go through the roof next year, any bid we get is gonna be vastly different than what we're looking at now. So if they
Right.
breach the contract and we go back to the drawing board, then hopefully that just reflects in the money we get back from the state.
You seconded, Dave?
I seconded it.
Any other town board discussion? Roll call vote, Andrea?
Councilman Welsh.
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly.
Yes.
Supervisor Hopkins.
Aye.
Councilwoman Moore.
Aye.
Councilman Frazier.
Nay.
Okay, I'm done with that. John, do you have anything to report?
No, other than the things I mentioned the item I mentioned last week about the budget for the equestrian center person. Hopefully that's going to be added back in before the budget is finalized.
Karina?
I don't have much of a voice, so I won't speak much, but, so I've been working on, I know you all got the ethics stuff that I sent out and sent to Tom, and made sure that everyone was aware, who is appointed to the ethics committee, that there will be the upcoming training on November 30th, so that's 2 weeks from tonight, at 6:30 here at Town Hall, as well as other municipalities that have been invited to participate. I think I sent out to you all as well that Peter Bonk had seen the last town board meeting, so we can discuss tonight when we're discussing that if we'd like to put him, if the board would agree, to put him as a member, and then for our search to be, or, for our request to be for an alternate, because we would have one alternate opening if Peter moves up.
So I would make a motion to move Peter up to
Like
a
member.
member.
Not an
As
alternate, but a
opposed
And
to
not an
member.
alternate.
alternate, and then have an opening for an alternate for any applicant that might come up.
Hmm.
You
I
wanna
would
second
agree.
it?
I'll second it. I agree.
Town board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Okay, I just have one other announcement. Is it the 29th? Mark Molinaro will be here the 29th?
Wednesday night?
Yeah. the night
The night
Yes,
before our
the 29th. I think it's at 6, right, Andrea?
I think, yeah, 6 o'clock, potentially to 8 o'clock.
6 to 8 potentially for any residents, any non-residents, anyone who would like to come and meet with him. I just wanted to make,
And we're going to televise it, correct?
Ellen? The
Wednesday, the
29th?
29th.
Wednesday.
I'll be on my way to Tennessee. Do they want to televise? I didn't know.
I think it would be good for the public that can't come.
Okay.
I mean, we don't often get county people here making presentations. It affects the whole county, so.
Do you think we can do it, Andrea? Between you and I?
We can try.
We can try.
Dave can do it.
We'll do it.
That's right, Dave could put on his old hat.
He
Yeah.
used to do it. I know that
Well,
the
it's
equipment's
an
a little
all-new system now, so
changed.
if Ellen will show me how, I'm sure we can do it.
Okay. It'd be nice to give it a try.
Dave, do you have anything to
Okay,
report?
no, I've been going over the budget and a whole bunch of other good things, and working on the benchmarking. But some of that'll come under discussions, but there was a letter that was received, and I'll read that. Unfortunately, I cannot be at the 11/16 meeting due to a previous commitment. However, I have a few items that I would like to bring to the attention of the town board. First, as I stated last week, the town's current sign law is now honored more in the breach and has proven to be unworkable. It is the most restrictive sign law in Dutchess County, might be unconstitutional, and is inconsistently enforced. Please review the law. Secondly, it seems to me that in addition to providing for the safety of our residents, providing for the maintenance of our roads, parks, and infrastructures, and providing all necessary functions of town government, we have a responsibility to our town employees. I commend the current town board for ending the automatic tax increases to which we had become accustomed, and it is commendable and appropriate that our town elected officials are not receiving an increase in their pay. As public servants, but full-time employees certainly deserve more than a 1% increase in pay in a year when the proposed tax rate is going down and town employees are required to contribute to the cost of health insurance. Our full-time employees are a valuable resource to our town, and they deserve to be, to at least be able to keep up with the cost of living with a 3 to 4% wage increase. I also believe that part-time workers on an hourly salary in Justice start at $15 per hour. Finally, it was mentioned at the last board meeting that the town's employee sick leave policy, as stated in the employee's handbook, is unworkable and needs revision. Please address the situation, a solution to this issue this year and not wait until 2018. Thank you for considering my opinion, Bill McCabe. That's all I have.
We had a public hearing last week. Bill could have said all of these things then. Steve, do you have anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Bookkeeper?
Good evening. That's for you. No, that's, oh yes, that is. That's for the month of October, that's everything. Okay, so for the month of October, the A-Fund revenues were $16,485.36. The A-Fund expenditures were $100,375.13. The D-Fund revenues were zero, and the D-Fund expenditures were $12,894.85. Just the 5-page document you have in front of you. If you look at the top two rows, you see that total revenues, where it says remainder, $227,326.40. So that's what's left in the budget to be collected. And so this is up through the end of October. So far, the revenues for the month of November are approximately $147,000, and we will be receiving a check from the county for 6 months of mortgage tax revenue. The number that they have on the spreadsheet is $76,000 plus dollars. They take some money off the top there, so it'll probably be a check for $74,000 or $75,000. So we're going to certainly meet or exceed those revenues, because then that doesn't include any building department revenues for the rest of November or December. It does include, garbage for November, December, or recycling rather. And then just any other incidental revenues that come in. And then the remaining for the expenditures are $991,717.55. So again, obviously, money's still going to be spent. That would be, whatever's going to be left to be spent for November, December, but there's no way the town's going to be spending $991,000 in the remaining 2 months. We just had a large bill to Brown & Brown for the NYMER insurance. That was $58,000 plus dollars. There'll be their state retirement in the middle of December. That'll be about $99,000. So there's a couple big bills that will, come out of these last 2 months. And then just all the payroll and other kind of incidental bills along the way for these remaining 2 months. And so, again, you can look at the breakdown between the A fund and the D fund. And then if you have any questions, just let me know. We might end up discussing it a little bit more during the budget, presentation. So, okay, thank you.
Code enforcement officer?
I did this. Did you? I didn't receive it.
Okay, we did not get one from the constables.
The file is on report with the town clerk.
Dog control?
One second. Come on. During the month of October, there were 2 lost dogs, 2 separate found dogs, and 3 dog complaints.
Highway? Steve, do you have a report for the highway?
I don't.
Media?
I don't think we have one this month.
Parks?
I knew we'd hit one sooner or later.
Pretty short and sweet this month. Soccer wraps up the end of this weekend, so the goals will be coming down, and then it's time to start thinking about ice rinks. I did send out a memo to everybody. I know everybody's super busy with the budget right now, and that's fine, so maybe within the next week or two, we can, call me, we can have a discussion about it, just so we can figure out how we want to proceed with them, so we can get them in the ground before the ground freezes, because then it's impossible to get them in. Besides for that, it's pretty much business as usual.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Recreation?
Hello, good evening. Dinner with Santa is full, and that is not a surprise, but we want to remind those already signed up that it is Saturday, December 2nd, starts at 3:30 p.m., and this year pushed ahead 1 hour so that more people can enjoy the holiday lights as they flick on for the year. 5 o'clock is our holiday lighting ceremony, so even if you are not registered for Dinner with Santa, you are still invited to come to the park to see us count down and turn on the lights, and it will be a beautiful sight like always. Hot chocolate will be served as we do that. Upcoming, we have a couple things going on. TGTT days are rocking and rolling. November 22nd, the day before Thanksgiving, is one of them, so please register if you have not already. And December 7th, you can do everything online, unionvalerec.com. We have a full moon hike happening on December 4th, 7 p.m. Those are always a good time. And the whole family is invited, and it is free. Fun things are happening on our Facebook page. If you have not followed us or liked our page, please do so. We've got some new segments like Did You Know? Meet our staff. We've been trying to up our game on our Facebook page, and we love it when you get involved and like and comment and engage in that discussion, because it's a really important part and piece to our community. Everyone is invited to come into my office and have a discussion with me or Jake, even though I don't want to invite people on your behalf. But our door is really always open. All you need to do, it would be great to have a heads up. Just call us in the office, let us know you're coming, and we would love to have some conversation about where we want to see us go in 2018. We're always looking for new ideas on how to improve the Parks and Rec department, and we just want to be available for all of our residents. So that's just really important to us, and we want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving next week. Enjoy the time with your family, and extend our gratefulness and thanks for all of your support as a town board, also our residents and our non-residents, everyone that comes out to enjoy the parks that are yours. So please keep doing so, and we look forward to a happy Thanksgiving.
Planning?
Okay, planning board for the month of October. East Mountain scoping session for Stephen Javier, we received $5,000 payment for that. Zoning board, there was no money taken in at all, zero.
Recycling center report. I am pleased to announce that the town has been awarded an electric waste assistance grant from the Department of Environmental Conservation. This grant was designed to help local communities with the unexpected cost of recycling e-waste from the time period April 2016 through March 2017. The reimbursement amount is $570.63. 2018 recycling center permits should be available for purchase beginning November 25th. Please purchase your 2018 permit by Sunday, December 31st. We encourage people to mail in their permit application to Town Hall, to hand their application with payment to the recycling center staff, or to purchase from Town Hall directly. There will be no permit sales from the shack, as the shack has been relocated and repurposed.
Repurposed.
Okay. Town clerk?
Andrea Casey, Town Clerk. Conservation licenses was $839, certified copies $270. The copy machine was $13.50. After school TGTT was $6,253. The equestrian center was $1,103. Facility rentals $1,365. Other recreation revenues $1,121. Concession stand $7,000. Swim passes, $1,452. Special events, $240. Recycling center and compactor fees, $5,407. Refuse bin, $1,117.20. And the dog revenue for spayed and neutered was $180 and $62. After all fees were paid, a check for $25,594.69 was turned over to the supervisor.
Okay, discussions, employee handbook revisions regarding PTO time versus time broken into specifics.
So, I feel like this was like months ago, I don't know. It was definitely a few meetings ago. I prepared the graph for you that I resent out this past week for you to review. It broke it up by what was in the former handbook, the handbook that we passed, and then what is being proposed through several meetings of meeting with the, especially the full-time staff. I'm here in the various positions. The only people not represented was no one from Highway was willing to come and meet, so they had no say in anything going forward. But there was several discussions we talked about last time, whether we should just go to a PTO system and give a block of time, and they're all adults and they can use their time. It kind of encourages them to not be sick, because then they get to take more vacations and personal days. Of course, holiday would be on top of that. That's usually not included in PTO time, versus keeping the system that we have, where it's separated into use this for vacation, use this for sick, use this for personal, and your specific holiday time. So those were the various different discussions. Hopefully everyone's had ample time to look it over and can have some good input. I know we have several people here that we've been meeting with. Basically, the main differences that kind of were worked out was what happened from going from the former handbook to the current handbook that we're working with now. It kind of was not really beneficial to somebody that stayed with the town long-term. And we would like this to be a place where, if we're having a good working relationship with an employee, that we keep that employee thinking this is a good place to work. So we had gone from giving you benefit at 10 years of getting more vacation time to all of a sudden we were only giving benefit up to 5 years.
Yeah.
So, the proposed would break it down a little differently, maybe 1 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 years, and 15 plus years. And basically, the plus would be you only get 2 additional days every 5 years. It's not exponential, but it does continue to keep that good working relationship. The discussion of 6 sick days, where we had 5 sick days, but in the new, we went down to 4 sick days, which may not be sufficient for everyone. Also, specifically, we had in the old handbook and in our current handbook that a doctor's letter was required at 3 days. One employee was, commenting that a lot of times it's just like his back goes out. He knows his back goes out, and to pay like a $50 copay just for the doctor said, oh, your back went out. So to maybe make something in the handbook more specific to, at 3 days, you need to touch base with your department head. We can always add a caveat that, a doctor's note may be required, but not must be required, because then that's this extra burden of somebody that can barely get out of bed to go pay $50 to a doctor to say, oh, look, you threw your back out again. There were a few other discussions of, what the accrual could be put onto sick time, so that was part of your handout. The personal time, in the former book, it had been 3 with no carryover. In the current handbook, it's 4 days, and they're accrued quarterly. So every 3 months, you get a day added throughout the year. It capped at 32 hours, so it was carryover, but 32 hours to full-time employees. So they actually were totally happy with the personal time, but instead of maybe carrying it over and converting it to sick time, so that almost gave benefit to somebody who wasn't, who we would want to have them use their personal time, because their personal time is to sort of benefit them to be a better employee. It's like when they tell you everyone should take lunch. Everyone really should take lunch, because it makes you a more productive employee the second half of the day.
By law, they have to.
Yes, no, I understand that, but, people that work in an office and are like, oh, I'm eating lunch, but they're looking at their computer. We're all better people if we take that 15-minute walk and, refresh our brains. So basically, personal time and sitting down, we all talked about that. We're all, better off if we take, 1 day off. We can actually be better at our jobs when we return. And then the discussion of holidays. We had 10 in the former handbook. There's 11 currently, because the day after Thanksgiving is added. So it would be 11. They did ask for some floating holidays. They asked for consideration, possibly time and a half for all employees, including seasonal employees like lifeguards as well. And then there were a few additions, discussions at the end. I know John was there for a meeting, Patty was there for a meeting, I was there for a meeting. I don't know if we want to have any further discussion, if we're prepared to start putting something together and we can put forth a resolution for the next meeting, hash it out. Does anyone have any feelings, PTO time versus traditional time?
I think that the handbook needs to be readdressed before you go into all this PTO time. There's nothing in the handbook that says that you can't have all of your guys take the week of Christmas off.
Right,
Or
like
the
they do in
week of
factories.
Thanksgiving off.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of stipulation in the handbook before you can go ahead and do something like this. I mean, everyone's gonna wanna take the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. The place is gonna close down. There has to be a stipulation in the handbook that states seniority or to the department heads.
Yeah, if they're an
Decision,
essential person, they gotta
You
be
know,
there.
before you can go ahead and move on this whole PTO time, I think that the employee handbook needs to be readdressed, and obviously that's gonna have to be with the next administration. And those are my thoughts.
I have no problem with carrying over sick time. None at all. I think it's a good thing. I know, like in the federal government, if you don't use your sick time, you get the time at the end, towards your retirement.
That's what it is in our
Or
current book.
you just
and
go out sick for a year.
That is what it is. Sick
Right,
time
so I have
doesn't.
I have no problem with that. Turning personal time over to sick time. Personal time to me is something like a death in the family,
Yeah,
you
care
need
for a
personal
child,
time.
emergency.
It isn't something that is just gee, I feel like taking a day off.
Well,
Yep.
death in the family would fall under bereavement anyway.
Well, the other thing we got to consider is the cost of any changes like that.
Yes.
We should really come up with some kind of guideline, what it would cost the town, and keep that as part of the consideration when we make the
Right.
change.
And the other thing is, I think anywhere and everywhere you go, after 3 days, you need a doctor's note if you fall in sick 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And that, it is what it is, and that's what it is, I believe, everywhere I've ever seen or been.
Yeah, that's kind of standard practice.
That's a standard.
Yeah, I know, again, when I worked in the government, after 3 days, you could be asked for a doctor's note. They did not say, they didn't say it was
must-
mandatory,
But you could be
but
asked.
it could be asked. You had to be prepared to
Right, but-
provide
but-
documentation as to why you were out. Karina made a good statement. You could have a guy like myself, when I was in the Postal Service, where my back would go out, and I've had 2 back surgeries. I could call them up and I could tell them, and they pretty much knew, rather than make me go to the doctor for that. 9 times out of 10 I did, but, it was just something that you got a feeling about some of your employees.
But again, if your back goes out, you are not a doctor to say, oh, I think I'm good enough to come back in 4 days, and then you go back in 4 days, and you
you're out
hurt
again.
yourself, and it becomes a liability to the town. So these doctor's notes are just saving the town from that liability of that person saying, I'm well enough to come back. You're not a doctor to decide whether you're well enough to come back, but okay, we'll let you come back, and then you walk over there and you pick that up, and you destroy your back at this point, and you sue the town, because
Yeah.
we allowed you to come
Yeah.
back without a doctor's note.
That's it.
So I think it's more of a liability to the town that, yes, we need to require a doctor's note with 3 days.
You're protecting the employee as well.
You're protecting the employee and you're protecting the town.
Yeah. No question about it.
I'm not gonna argue.
Okay, is there anything else on that?
Well, do we want to hash it out a little bit more so we can get something to work with? The discussion of sick time it was 5 days, it went down to 4 days. The employees are actually requesting 12 days to be accrued, 1 per month. I think maybe
We
6
think that
days.
we wouldn't have a crew.
Right, I think 6 days would be.
6 is generous. I wouldn't want to go more
6
than
is
6.
very generous.
Yes.
Right. Well, I think going to 4 was restrictive, because in the former it had been 5, so I would say 5 or 6.
But the only reason it was 5 in the former is because it was 3 here. So it went to 4 and
Right.
4. So they
Kept it.
still got the same amount of days. It
Right.
was just in a different category. But if you want to move everything to PTO time and just hand everyone their time in the beginning of the year, does it matter whether it's 4 and 4 or 5 and 3? It's the same amount of days.
Exactly.
Right, nobody said they wanted to, that was the discussion of, these are the 2 options. Do we go to this type of system, which again, is not a system this town has ever done before? Or do we sort of stick with what we have and kind of rework it so that everyone can,
I think we
land on a mutual
stick with what we
ground?
have.
Yeah, just try to be fair.
This is up to this
Yeah.
board, not the employees. This isn't a union. And this is our
Correct.
decision, and
But we want to be a good place to work, not a get
And we have
locked
improved
on.
it.
Yes.
We improved it with the last handbook, and I believe that the next administration will improve it again with the changes that they make. But I think that it should wait until then.
It's only 6 weeks away.
Anything else on that? Okay, discussion on signage revisions.
Well, so I think in order to be prepared for discussion, because the town code is 4 full pages in the town code. I know that for 2 years I've been on the board, and this has been a discussion for 2 years. It's a discussion when elections come up, that the specific code related to the signage for elections
And no
is
one
an
pays
issue.
attention to it anyway.
And this year, it was very openly violated on many occasions for many reasons. But even within the zoning and planning board, that they're having, a difficult time moving forward. So I know that George and Michael Agori are willing to revisit that with us. They do have a proposal by the Be Wise Car Wash for some signage. So I propose we put a committee together of George Cole and Michael Agori and Jane Smith as the head of the zoning board, or if she chooses someone else from the zoning board who may be able to act in that capacity on her behalf, Kevin Durland as the head of the planning board, or if he approves maybe Pat or somebody else to act in his place. And then I would say one member of the town board. I don't know whether it would want to be Steve, because I know he was previously on the planning board, so he probably has knowledge of this, or whether it would be the liaison to the boards. Have them get together for a meeting or two to really revise it, hash it out, to make some recommendations to the town board, because we can't just like willy-nilly change town code. We need to make it so that it is really benefiting our town
And
without
current, yeah.
totally changing everything or violating our master plan or anything. Bring it up to current standards,
Yeah,
but
like
keep it. the
electronic
town of
signs.
Millville.
They weren't really around when the last time we updated that, so they really have to be addressed.
And I
in there.
think that, I know that we want to keep the rural setting in our
Yeah.
town,
Yeah.
but I think an electronic sign would be fine
Commercial.
on
area.
Route 55,
Yeah.
Town Center. I wouldn't want to see it on Brusco Road or here in the park or anything. But I think those changes could be made, and it's up to those people if they want to get together and discuss it and bring something in front of the board. Because I think the whole town board is going to have to,
Yeah, and
make this
especially George,
decision.
because he's the enforcement.
Yep.
So he's
Right.
really got to have something he feels that he can enforce effectively.
so,
I mean, some of those
We can-
electronic signs, I know I've seen them in some pretty rural areas, but they're usually around firehouses or schools, where they're able to put out information pertaining to storms.
People get that on their phone now. Not too many people. look at the
Yeah,
signs.
but still,
I mean-
I think on
you know,
a highway, it's okay.
Yeah.
On a state or
Commercial area.
commercial area, but on back roads, I don't think it's,
And I think that's a lot of what he was addressing, because in the letter from George, it talks about town code for the TC and commercial areas of the
Right.
town of Union. The specifics related to political signs, obviously, those are residential areas. So there's different non-residential areas and commercial areas.
But I do want to say this, our town looks the best come election period. The signs are up late, maybe some were up sooner than they should have been, but they're up late, almost near election day, and they're down almost immediately after election day, so that's, I think the sign, the effect of the law has
there was a
been
sign
beneficial.
still up yesterday, I saw, but.
Yeah, a few stragglers, but looks much better than you go around surrounding towns now. There's still signs, sometimes there's signs all winter in places.
I think we could.
All
beef
right,
it
so
up
I
as
think
far
we
as
should
enforcement.
contact George, have him meet with those people.
So I'd like to make a motion that we assemble this committee and we, so we can have George be in charge of it as the town employee and the code enforcement officer. And then if, again, if it's not Jane, that a representative from zoning board, if it's not Kevin, then a representative from planning board. And then I don't know if anyone would want to volunteer to be the member of the town board.
I don't have any opposition to it if the board pleases.
Yeah,
Steve, do you want to be the member?
I can do that.
I think you'd make a
Okay.
great addition since you already have expertise in this area
Okay, so you're making a motion
to like
form
Instead
this
of a
committee
Assemble the
and
committee.
have Steve,
To address this issue.
the town
look
board
into-
person.
Yeah, I'll second it, sounds like a good idea.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Resolutions, John?
Okay,
I need to open a window.
I know, no shortage of heat in here. Okay, resolution for the town board of the town of Unionville adopting the annual town budget for the fiscal year 2018. Whereas the town board of the town of Unionville has met and considered the tentative budget, as well as the preliminary budget for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018. Whereas the town board of the town of Unionville conducted a public hearing on the 9th day of November 2017 at Town Hall, 249 Duncan Road, LaGrangeville, New York, at which time the town of Unionville Town Board did meet and review such preliminary budget as compiled and accepted public comment for or against any items contained therein as required by New York State Town Law Number 108. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the Town Law 109, the preliminary budget as changed, altered, and revised and is hereby adopted as the annual budget of the town of Unionville for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018, and the same be entered in the minutes of the town board.
And I'll second it, town board discussion.
I'm going to again suggest that we add the fourth full-time employee to the highway department. If my calculations are correct, that means an increase of $31,648 to that line, and then an additional $2,508 to the benefit package. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Any other town board discussion?
My only question on that is, in the past, we've asked Richie for information, and Richie's yet to give us that information. As Patty pointed out in the past, a person quit, he didn't really apply, he didn't really go after getting somebody to replace that person, if he needed them. The email that Richie sent out about replacing the person says, I need a fourth person. He didn't say why. I've got no objections to supporting the highway department. I would just like information from the highway department as to why he wants to spend money. Last year, he said he wanted to buy a new truck. We asked him, or I asked him, at a town board meeting when I abstained from voting yes or no for that truck, give me the reasons why, give me the specifications, tell me what truck you're replacing and why it has to be replaced. He put in a request this year to replace truck 7. I have no idea what truck 7 is, how old it is, how many miles on it. I think asking on the behalf of the taxpayers, why you want to spend the money, I think that's a legitimate request from the highway superintendent. I have no problems with giving him the money he needs to operate his department. I just think that we're entitled to, in fact, we're elected because we're the keeper of the town's money and checking the budget.
If he was that worried about it, he'd have been here tonight.
I do have another question. Where did you come up with the salary that you gave us out loud?
30,000?
33,000?
31,618 is what I came up with, based on what was in the budget last year, with a 1% increase.
But they're making $51,730.
No, it's not, that's what needs to go into that budget line to.
Yeah, there was money put in there for 2 seasonal,
And I may not be correct. I mean, I've stated this before, this is the most difficult budget I've ever looked at to understand. I thought I calculated the proper number. I would like to see the proper amount installed to continue paying that fourth position that has been historically in the highway department. We're talking about having the roads plowed on time and having them maintained properly with a 25% cut in his labor force. It doesn't add up.
Okay, but the plow guys are additional.
yeah, they're all,
But you'd still be missing one.
No, we added an extra,
Well,
plus we added 2 summer
We
helps.
had 2 summer helps and 1 winter help.
you said we're elected officials. The highway superintendent is an elected official as well. He was re-elected handedly in the way that he operates his department. He put forth the proposal of what he needs to do to operate that department in an efficient manner, and I feel that we need to support that.
If he was that worried about it,
Yeah.
he'd have been here tonight.
So you're going to punish the residents of our town
I think
because
I'm
the highway
helping the
superintendent's not here?
Anything else? Is there any other changes?
I have a change, our park secretary, recreation secretary. Jessica, you had touched on this last week. It was, I think, a misunderstanding that about 3,200 and change was removed from the budget line because you assumed that the person was not going to be working for us next year. I don't have the exact line on the budget, but it was going to instead be shown as the equestrian center staffing.
Right, it's not that the seasonal secretary position, as it is known as that title, a portion of the wages would be transferred into a stipend so that she can assume more responsibilities as the equestrian center director. So in between that seasonal secretary position and the equestrian center director, by merging those 2 positions into still Betty, one role in a stipend fashion, it would, from 2017 to 2018, would save just a little bit over $2,000. So she's assuming more responsibilities as the equestrian center director and not working at an hourly wage.
So who's doing the job that she used to do
In the office.
down at the park?
The computer.
Her role
Yeah, I was gonna
is
say it's-
completely different.
Computerized somewhat.
What do you mean? Somebody has to run a computer?
Well, Stephanie is there more hours. Stephanie is
So what I'm
covering it.
saying is then Stephanie's getting paid.
Yeah,
So it's not like the
So-
job just disappears. Somebody has to be paid to do the job that she was doing.
She
So
was-
Stephanie is getting more hours to do that job. So we
No.
are not saving that money.
No, Stephanie's job and her increase is assuming that the Parks and Rec office can stay open later. Betty was only working until noon anyway, so that's not accounting for those extra hours. that
So
the park
what
office
did
is
Betty
open.
do?
So Betty helped manage the files, take paperwork.
So no one's going to do that now.
So that is all
paperwork's
now
online.
computerized.
Yeah, people register online now instead of coming in with paperwork.
So nobody comes in with paperwork, no paperwork's going to have to be filed,
Correct.
so no one's going to do that.
The only paperwork that comes into the office are camp medical forms now.
So
no, Stephanie.
this happened last year, this
It
year,
happened last year, correct.
so it wasn't necessary to have her there last year.
Well, there was a transition time.
Yeah,
And
last
then-
year was learning
And
curve.
we had never had a summer with the online registration.
Yep.
Betty's seasonal secretary position was already budgeted for in the adopted budget for 2017. her role, we had a transition year to see what that role would look like in the new dynamic. So what we thought of was her seasonal secretary position, not that it's not needed and we can just get rid of that position. She was managing a lot in the equestrian center director and doing some of that in our office. And that's what she focused on most because there wasn't all of those papers to go through. But the amount of hours she puts in at the equestrian center and the amount of new things she's going to have responsibility for really is morphed into that new stipend. And
Okay.
I think that's
So you
more
can
than-
show-
So she's not going to be doing anything else up at the equestrian center other than what she has been doing?
And attaching therapeutic programming, some adaptive.
All right, and that
components.
therapeutic programming,
Is this gonna
Right,
bring
is
in
that-
money?
Yeah, it's going to be a new program, working with some other local farms and bringing
So-
their horses, adding new elements to the shows. It takes some time.
We need to test this before we can,
And we're going
Well-
to test it with that stipend so she can invest more time in doing that. We can't test it and not pay someone to do that work.
okay, because I mean, I was just looking at the last 3 years at, it's the information that Betty sent me, right?
and she
So
says that,
for the last 3 years, the revenue at the equestrian center has been going down.
I
That's
don't think there
including-
was revenue because that didn't count.
Yeah, there is revenue, but I mean, the
Did
revenue.
you take out the material that was bought for up there?
No, that wasn't
This was done
included in
before
there,
the
but I mean,
material, and there was 400.
And-
So I think the material probably cost more than 400, so I don't think there was any revenue.
She also has a contractual line of .4, which was $2,000, which I believe you cut to be 500, is that correct? My suggestion was to keep it at the 2,000 so she can effectively run her
Yes,
shows.
1,000.
We cut it to 1,000.
And the year-to-date on what you may have in front of you was not up to date, so I think it said about $400 in the last budget printout,
well,
but
No, what Betty handed out.
what Betty handed out said it was
Profit of $400, and that was before the material was bought.
profit of $400. She had withdrawn the $500 that she used to put in for mowing,
Right,
which, that's done by the park.
right, we
It's,
took that out in one.
yeah, no, it was just taken out this year. It doesn't include in there the electric that we pay up there, which is like $180. That's after we cut down. I mean, we were paying like $400, we were paying almost $500
Right.
we were paying almost $500 a year for electric up there for the use of 4 or 5 kilowatt hours. That's a lot of money per kilowatt hour. They haven't raised their dues, and maybe that's something that they should consider, raising their dues. But when you add another $2,000 to their cost line, you're now $1,600
In the rears.
in arrears, not counting the electric or anything else that the park provides.
Right. Well, the electric was never a discussion in these budget components, because,
Right.
a lot of our programming uses gas.
Well, I mean, but the only ones that use that electric up there is the equestrian center. You're not gonna have, your camp people don't use it, the other residents of the town don't use it. I mean, that's something that they should figure in their budget, because it shouldn't be coming from the taxpayers.
And that can be a discussion, and if you feel like the electric needs to be added in there in a certain line and a certain amount, it's something that we can be vigilant about, whether we keep it or we don't keep it. That can be a conversation with the equestrian center and I and you, whoever is interested.
I think that can be a conversation with the town board, because it is a town board discussion, town board decision and not an employee decision.
All right, but I would like to say that if we do not fund her this coming year, that means the equestrian center will just not have any real activity. Because
Well,
nobody else is going to be able to have time to run it, correct?
Correct. And if
But we are funding her what we've always funded her.
Well, and we're trying to
For
find
the
new ways
same
to
job.
have this equestrian center be revenue,
Okay,
generate revenue, so.
this is town board discussion.
Sure.
Well, I think input from the recreation director is important.
I think it is too.
That we
And
have
when we
an
ask,
informed
yes.
discussion.
but John and I were discussing it.
I have a question of how, and I know I sent the email too late, which is how you came up with the number you did. And then you came up with $3,255, and then you make a statement that said we're saving 2016 tax dollars. So I want to be able to follow your math, because I did the math a couple different ways, and I don't get that number. I actually don't get us saving money. So formerly, and we'll just use her entire job, you know, she was making, in her secretarial position, $6,551, and then as the equestrian director, $1,255, so it brings us up to $7,806. We now do have to consider, we are keeping Stephanie longer, we are paying her extra hours. So realistically, she is doing things that Betty would have done. She's filing things that Betty would have filed. Realistically, she's not filing anything Betty would have ever touched.
Correct. Stephanie's adjustment was to literally keep the office open, and she could be present to continue answering phone calls and to engage with parents and all of that until 4 o'clock every day instead of 1 o'clock.
Right.
So,
We could have done that when they were both present by staggering their hours.
Yes.
Which I often thought as a parent, that this is ridiculous, that 2 people do the same job for all this time, and everybody goes home at the same time. That's kind of crazy.
in the, can I speak on that?
Yeah.
In the past, she was, they were both helping each other, yes, because there was a lot of paperwork. A lot of paperwork. Everybody would come in with at least 10 pages
Yeah.
of paperwork per camper, you know
Yeah.
that. So she was very beneficial in that role at that time.
Mhm.
This year was a much different transition, and Stephanie's hours are definitely separate. And to follow my thought with the math, I was only comparing Betty in that one line across the board. I was not taking into consideration the other equestrian contractual component or Stephanie's, because that was kind of mixing variables. I was only looking at that one line of Betty and saying in her role as the seasonal secretary and the equestrian center director, as Betty, I would have been making X amount of dollars, and subtracting the amount because of that merged position, now Betty is taking home the lesser amount.
Right. But that still leaves us at $4,000, not $2,000. That's why I'm still having a problem following your math. I did that math problem too, and it still doesn't jive. So how did you calculate that if she would just continue as her same role and we were giving her $1,268, how did you calculate that you would be giving her $3,255?
Because of the increase in more shows, more additions to our programming, therapeutic resources. I mean, making those connections is really difficult. Going out to, let's say, a place like Lucky Orphans, where they have therapeutic certified people, trying to sync up schedules to get them to our shows or to do certain programming. It's not saying that anything is concrete right now,
Right.
but I need someone to do this work. And I need, if we want to test this out for a year, have it, just put it in the budget and adopt it for, put an asterisk on it only for this year, and think about that when we're doing the 2019 budget with maybe a revenue increase, but we won't know unless we try it. And if we want the equestrian center to thrive and have that increased revenue, we need to invest in the staff to do that well.
Yeah, I agree. I think we owe it to the residents, the people that use the equestrian center, that we should continue it. Betty is very well versed in it. She's been involved with it many years. It's not a lot of money. It's somewhat of an investment. I think she's going to be able to get results that we're going to be positive. And like Jessica said, if it doesn't come true to be as good a financial investment, next year we could reconsider it. But I think to just cut it off right now and basically tell her she's out of a job after all the years and not give her a chance to continue.
Well, she still has a job. She's still doing the same thing she always did for.
Does she, Jessica?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's she going to sit?
No, if you approve what's approved right now, that's only the equestrian center stipend.
Then,
Right, she doesn't.
So if we give her more money, you're gonna let her sit in the office?
No.
I don't
Right,
understand that part
no,
of it.
her job would be equestrian director any which way, no matter what we give her.
Correct.
Right.
So what if we compromise and do this trial run for 1 year and give her double what we were agreeing to give her, which would take us to 2536 instead of 3255. It would give her double the amount of time that she's been spending. So whether that's, let's say, I think there's like 4 horse shows. I don't know if there's really gonna be
There's
8.
4 throughout the year. There might be,
So there probably wouldn't be
depending on what-
8, but maybe there'd be 6 or
Possible,
5.
yeah,
I mean,
5
it's
or
the
6,
first year,
yeah.
so maybe you're just adding 1, maybe you're adding 2. So theoretically, it doubles her time in the investment, but it's a conservative leap trying to see. I mean, we did put the adaptive equipment in there, and I thought really 1750 was a big investment for an adaptive leap on the town board's part. So I did like that. So we really are investing more than we have in the past. So, I think giving her, she's not doing that other role anymore, so giving her double time, so double the money, available the stipend to do that role may be a fair compromise.
Yeah.
Elfrida, you wanted to say something.
Alright.
This is adaptive therapeutic involving horses.
Yes.
Where are the horses coming from? Are we buying horses?
No, not at all.
It would be, what the town board is putting into the budget would be equipment that would be needed for people
Bring their
who
own horses.
horses here.
And they would be covered by their own insurance.
Like, everything still has to follow what we've been following with the equestrian center. So I know that they have them sign, like, towns on liable, blah, blah,
Waivers,
blah. So all that stuff would be the same, but there is some special equipment, involving where you put your feet, or how you would get onto a horse, if you have some special needs, especially if they're physical special needs.
So do you want to make a motion?
Okay, so I propose we make a motion that on the budget, it would say $2,536 would be her stipend for 2018.
I will second that motion.
Is she still gonna punch a time clock?
Stipends typically
Yeah,
don't do
it's
that.
not
If you would
really,
like.
How many hours?
I
Maybe-
can absolutely make sure to have her calculate the amount of time spent. That way, that would actually be great data
Yeah.
to go
Right,
on.
I'm not saying punch the time clock, but keep track.
Yes, on
Yeah.
our own time sheet, and make sure we have an analysis of what's been happening. And
Yeah.
she loves keeping data of all the
Yeah.
great things she does at the
Mhm,
Equestrian
yeah.
Center, so I'm sure
She's well organized.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm sure she will.
Okay, Karina made a motion,
Johnson.
John seconded. Any other town board discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilman Welsh,
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly,
Yes.
Supervisor Hopkins,
Nope.
Councilman McMorris.
Yes.
Councilman Frazier.
Aye.
Are there any further town board discussion?
Yeah, I have one.
2.5.
Parks and Recreation Assistant. I had a discussion with both the Recreation Director and the head groundskeeper. This is a new job title with additional duties from what she was formerly doing. I feel that deserves a more substantial pay increase. I would like to increase that amount to $18.50 per hour.
Just to clarify, the proposal is, in the preliminary budget, the proposal is that it's $17.50 an hour. Just so everyone knows what it is right now.
And she was hired
She was
at
at
17, right? Okay.
So she got more raise than
17, we
everyone
went to
else.
17.
But that pay raise is a longevity pay raise. It's not anything to do with her additional duties or new job title. I think that should be reflected in her salary.
Any other town board discussions?
I will second his motion.
Roll call vote?
Councilman Walsh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly?
No.
Supervisor Tompkins?
No.
Councilman McMorris?
No.
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
Anything further?
There's a couple things. Just going over the
Okay.
bills. The town policies for liability insurance. The preliminary budget was 58,000. I'm just recommending that it be 60,000. Because the bills we just paid were north of 58,000. So next year you expect it to be
Yeah, next
something
year
more.
maybe
Yes,
more. So it
right.
was 58, so next year it may be more. So I'll make a motion to make that 60,000.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
What's the code on that, so I can track it? I can't track it with no code.
Right here, 1910.
1910.
Excuse me.
Because the town can't and doesn't keep its money at the Harlem Valley Federal Credit Union anymore, the town's not going to make as much interest revenue as it used to.
Next year it's not, no.
Right.
But it's illegal to have it at the federal credit union,
Okay.
so.
We can invest differently.
There's no basis in state law for it.
Well, I did discuss this once again with the comptroller.
I don't think we need to do that. Just continue with your presentation, please.
Excuse me,
I'm just
can I
clarifying.
finish my,
I'm not saying it's
sentence?
illegal, I'm just saying there's no
You're
basis.
grandstanding?
right. I don't need to grandstand.
So, okay, so I would recommend that the interest for the A fund be $500 and the interest for the D fund be $200. Again, the savings, you know, at a FDIC-insured bank is not much.
Yeah, so this is more realistic.
And so, you know, if it ends up being $550 or $600 or
Yeah.
$250,
Minor
then
amount.
you're
Then you're ahead of the
you're
game.
out on top.
All right, I'll make a motion, we make those changes.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The last recommendation I was going to make, again, here's, take one. So these, what you're getting now are the revenues and the expenditures from the last 2 months of last year. And so, you know, you're looking at $175,000 of revenue that came in November, December of last year. You're looking at $700,000 plus dollars of expenditure if you go to the second
Right,
page.
yeah, 719,000.
Yeah. So, as I was saying earlier in the monthly report, again, the revenues for these last 2 months of the year should cover what's budgeted. Again, the expenditures are, you know, even if they are that $500-something thousand amount, the town is certainly going to be increasing its fund balance quite a bit over the $1 million that it is now. In the preliminary budget that the town board voted on, less fund balance and appropriation revenues was $55,000. I'm just recommending putting that to, it's still $55,000, but recommending put it to $60,000. You put it at $60,000, the town's still gonna have more money
Right.
than it did a year ago.
Right.
Yeah,
And then
Town's gonna, I mean, again,
it just
unless
gives
there's
the
a, I mean, you
administration
just-
a little more money
you
to,
just look at the expenditures year after year, and then you know what's,
yeah,
basically you know what's coming these next 2 months. You know, I mean, it's just, the town's gonna have pretty much brought in all the revenue it's supposed to bring in and not spent all of the money it thought it was going to spend. So the town's gonna have more money than the $1 million plus already has in fund balance. So putting it at $60,000, the fund balance is still going to go up.
right. So I'll make a motion and put it at 60,000.
I'll second
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
The only thing I want to bring up again is the concession stand. That's going at an $11,000 loss right now. And the way it is in the budget, the way it was last year, it's an $11,000 loss. I know Jessica said at the last meeting that they've tried using a concessionaire before, and it was disastrous. I'll go along with funding it right now, but I wanted on the record that I would like it to go out to a bid to reputable concessionaires, somebody like, it could be the Burbank Deli, Familia Pizza, who does LaGrange, some of these other places where they pay their rent up front, and we're not worried about how much money they make. That's their problem. They're paying their employees, they're paying their insurance. We're just supplying them the space. This is giving us a profit before we even start instead of an $11,000 loss. If we put it out there and we see what comes back, we don't have to accept it, but I would like that part of the stipulation for accepting this budget, or the budget for the concession stand. I don't see where, I know Jessica said that a lot of that is figured into the part of the camps. That's $11,000 that we're putting into the camps. That makes the profit from the camps a lot less. We do that with the pool, but the pool is there for all the residents, and it's there. We've got to pay the maintenance on that. Part of that should also be figured into the camp expense. It shouldn't be all the, weight on the taxpayers of the town. I think that was almost at a $65,000 loss on the pool. And the revenues for the pool last year were considerably less than the year before, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
The year before.
But, so, I mean, that's the only thing I want to say on the concessions.
I do agree with you.
I really think that that's a big hit that the taxpayers shouldn't be hit with.
I do agree with you, and Oktoberfest just kind of proved what Dave's talking about. Past years, Oktoberfest, we staffed it, we bought the food, we cooked the food, we made a little bit of money. The last 2 years, we went out and had East Fishkill Provisions come in and do their thing, and we did our thing, and we tripled the money that we brought in, maybe even quadrupled it. So I think Dave's right, and it should be looked into.
I'd like to request an executive session with the Recreation Director to discuss personnel issue.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second
Also
it.
good.
Right now, we're not going to finish resolutions?
It
Yeah,
has to do with the resolution.
Oh, it does?
Yes, it does.
All right.
yeah, we still have to vote.
No, I'm the second to go into executive session, if you just.
I'll second it.
I don't know, just
All in favor? Yeah.
Yes.
Aye.
Out of executive session.
I'll second.
No decisions were made, no money was spent. All in favor?
I'm going to make a motion that the Recreation Secretary salary be increased to $52,500.
I'll second.
Roll call vote?
Oh, sorry. Councilman Welch?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly?
No.
Supervisor Tompkins?
No.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
That number again? What was it?
52,500.
Doesn't seem down there. Did you get it?
So Recreation Director, 52,500. Okay.
As a salary position.
Yeah, I mean, the town board would, they should vote on that at the organizational
Yeah,
meeting.
at
You know,
the
that's not in the
organizational
budget.
meeting.
Right, the budget is in there, but
Just the
the actual
number.
salary will be.
Right.
Right, the organization meeting would
Have to be
say, this
implemented.
is salary, this
Right.
is hourly, whatever,
Yes.
whatever you want.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Actually, I have a couple more questions. Did we ever figure out, or did Mr. Wisman get back to us on line 5130, where it talks about the MS4? In 2017, we spent $19,954. But in our upcoming tentative budget, it's 10,000. Is it like what we need to, I know that a
Ryan
lot of.
discussed it with George Cole.
Okay.
And I think he discussed it with Larry Podgy.
Right.
I know sometimes it was like, there was a lot of early costs, and then it wasn't so bad. Is it that? What is it?
Well,
that
right,
went down?
I mean, I think, if I remember correctly from a year ago, I think the discussion was that it should be, you know, it was winding down. It wasn't going to be as much as it was previously.
Okay.
So that's why it was only around 20,000, whereas previous to that, it had been more than
Okay.
20,000. My recollection when talking with George was that there was always going to be some expense there.
But not
But
as much.
a lot of the heavy lifting, if you want to use a cliche, has been done already. This is
Okay.
just kind of continuing.
Okay.
Right,
Cost,
Yeah.
be safe and put enough in
Yes.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously Unionville isn't as urbanized as
Right.
Beekman or LaGrange or other towns, urbanized or as populous, so you'd expect the number to be less. I mean, the only reason Unionville is an MS4 town is its proximity to those towns. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, Pauling is because they're in the New York City watershed. Dover, Armenia, Northeast, they're not because they're not near those types of towns, and they're not in the New York City watershed, so they're not MS4 communities.
Okay. On 3120, which is the constables, I think, if I remember correctly, Dave was the one with the question about can a constable in charge make $1 more an hour? And then you were going to look into that, Tom, if there was anything, because Steve had believed that that might be illegal or.
Yeah, I looked into it. I didn't see anything under the town code or the town law that would prohibit a constable in charge. Councilman Frazier asked me to look into it.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything specifically prohibiting that.
So I didn't know if that was something you wanted to address before moving forward.
But we had already added that into the budget.
Okay.
And that can be addressed at the organizational meeting.
Right, it was an additional $500.
Yeah.
Right, we
Whether it
did
was
go.
a stipend
We
or
went up.
an extra
Right.
hour. It was added in the preliminary, from the tentative budget to the preliminary budget, there was $500 added. Again, that would be at the organizational meeting. Vote on that.
And on 1010, which is the town board line, given that we have one newly elected official, I would like to put a motion that we increase the training by $350. It's $200 to register for the Association of Towns newly elected official training, and then about $150 worth of transportation costs to go back and forth
Good insight.
to Albany. And I, personally, I recommend it to anyone who gets elected to a board. It's for school boards and town boards. It it would like change the whole trajectory of lots of things in my life. 2 weeks in, I just learned so much. My head was so full for 3 days. So I'd like to.
I also make the motion that we add an appropriation in there for Andrea to go as well. They have a whole session on it.
Oh, that's right, yeah, she's newly elected.
So,
Yeah, she's also newly elected, and they have a whole session in there on town.
So they do.
Wanted to go.
They do. I mean, she doesn't have to go, but the money would be there to go.
Yeah,
So
good
that
point.
would then be, so 350, 700 for 2.
Okay, I think it's a good idea, I'll second that.
Who made the motion, I'm sorry?
I did, sorry.
You didn't recognize her voice, but it was her.
Yeah, I don't know who I am right now.
Roll call vote?
Councilman Welsh?
Aye.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Supervisor Tompkins?
Aye.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
So it was to add 700 to the 300 to make it 1,000.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
That would.
Okay,
that would be
I'd like to vote on the
under
resolution then.
Attorney local law.
Here we are.
Yeah,
Yes, John read
I
it,
read
I
it,
second
yes.
it. We had our,
We had
Discussion.
discussion.
yeah, we made changes.
Andrea, roll call vote?
Councilman Welsh?
Aye.
Councilwoman Kelly?
Yes.
Supervisor Tompkins?
Aye.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Nay.
Okay, Karina,
Resolution
Oh, yes,
of the Town Board of the Town of Unionville adopting, no, that's the same one. Whereas Town of Unionville Highway Department Superintendent has prepared a list of materials needed for operation of the Town of Unionville Highway Department for 2018, and whereas pursuant to Section 103 of the Municipal Law of the State of New York, which requires all expenditures for materials which exceed $20,000 to be awarded to the lowest bidder. And now therefore be it resolved that the town clerk of the Town of Unionville is hereby directed to publish proper notice for the solicitation of bids in the official newspaper of the Town of Unionville for the purchase of materials for use of the Town of Unionville Highway Department for 2018.
I'll second that motion, or that resolution.
town board discussion? Roll call vote?
Aye.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Supervisor Tompkins?
Aye.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Aye.
Resolution approving and adopting ethics board policy and procedure. Whereas the Town of Unionville Town Board has recently filled vacancies on the Town of Unionville Ethics Board, and whereas the Town Board of the Town of Unionville has had an opportunity to review recommended policies and procedures for a town ethics board in New York State as recommended by the New York State Comptroller's Office, now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Unionville hereby approves and adopts the policy and procedures for the Town of Unionville Ethics Board and attached hereto and made part hereof, and be it further resolved that a copy of the Ethics Board policy and procedure shall be kept on file in the office of the town clerk.
I second that.
Town board discussion? Roll call vote?
Well, wait, I just want to make sure, Tom, you reviewed
Yeah,
what I
I've
sent
reviewed
to
what
you.
was sent to me
It was
last,
from the state
discussed last week. It was
anyway.
From the state, it's the recommended policy that the state recommends. If going forward, if something comes up, that a policy and procedure needs to be amended, any future town board could absolutely amend it by resolution going forward. But from a legal standpoint, I think it's a good starting point, and it's basically the template recommended by New York State.
I did add a caveat in the middle of section 18, the Board of Ethics in the very middle. It says all members are required to participate in training 90 days prior to,
That was discussed.
or within
yeah,
the
that was
90
good,
days.
yeah.
Already discussed.
Good.
So it is in
Great.
there, if you got a chance to look at it, but the wording
Very
is
good.
90 days prior
Training's
to
at the end of the month.
Yep, the 30th, yep.
Should be from today, so.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilman Welsh?
Aye.
Councilman Kelly?
Yes.
Supervisor Tompkins?
Aye.
Councilman McMorris?
Aye.
Councilman Frazier?
Nay.
Okay, public comments on non-agenda items. Okay, the next town board meeting is December 7th. And I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
I got one thing. Motion to pay the bills.
Oh, yes.
I'll
I
second.
make a motion to pay all the bills.
Darn, we have to pay those.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, again, the next meeting is December 7th, 2017, at 7 PM. And I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And I will make a motion to adjourn.